Hi, I'm Nathan King with Horizon Equipment, and today I'm going to be going over ExactApply and a few other things such as the Apply Plus app from John Deere, Connect Mobile, and also application and precision ag support hotlines that Horizon Equipment has available for you to use. Welcome to our Exactology event. This video will be in conjunction with some other videos that will educate you on some offerings that John Deere has. First, we're going to touch on ExactApply. This first page here is just a little bit of the ExactApply nozzle body anatomy. As you can see here, they've got two solenoids, solenoid A and B. Those work in conjunction for the different modes of application that we have. Here you can see some hairpins that allow us to quickly remove those solenoids if needed. And then it's got a 6-nozzle turret that is adjustable manually. And then the spray tips on the bottom, as well as the turret clip that's on the underneath side, again for removal. ExactApply is available for the following machines: the R Series, R4030, R4038, and also the R4035. It's available for boom widths from 90 to 132 feet, and for both stainless steel and carbon fiber boom material. But notice here, you do have to have a stainless steel boom plumbing in either 15 or 20-inch spacing. Some features of ExactApply. We've got individual nozzle control, which is handy. Like in this representation, we're going through a waterway. We have that individual nozzle control to turn the nozzles on and off as we enter and exit. We've got turn compensation. Turn compensation is important because when we're making those turns, whether they're wide or sharp, our inside nozzle body will tend to over-apply, while the outside nozzle bodies are under-applying due to the speed difference across the boom. With ExactApply, we keep that individual nozzle control putting on the correct amount of product regardless of its location on the boom. You'll see here too, the PWM modes that we use are 15 or 30. Our dual solenoid system allows us to do that. If you take a look here, this is the John Deere 30 Hertz pulsing, and you'll see that it not only has a consistent droplet size, but also the coverage is more consistent with that higher pulsing. You'll see our 30 Hertz pulsing here doesn't have gaps like we see in the Case IH AIM system. That's only a 10 Hertz system. You can see that pulsating gap that shows up through their application. We have the ability to manually switch between nozzles A and B, again going back to having dual solenoids on the nozzle body. A good example of this would be if you were maybe running something that was more susceptible to drift around the perimeter. We would run one nozzle, and then once we got to the inside and we were starting our passes back and forth, we could manually from the seat switch to the second nozzle. We also have a mode that allows for automatic A and B switching. A scenario where you would use that would be through a speed change scenario, which is depicted here. You see in the first picture here, we've got a smaller tip that will allow us to run at lower speeds. And as we increase those speeds and we exceed the capabilities of that first tip, it will automatically switch to nozzle B, or the second nozzle. And as we increase our speed and exceed the capabilities of that second tip, then it will actually kick A back on, and we will use both nozzles together to get the correct pattern and be within the limitations of those tips in that speed range. Air induction nozzles are not approved for PWM only systems, so we have the advantage of being able to switch between our A and B mode, or conventional, or PWM, where we would be able to use the air induction nozzles that are required for some pesticides and herbicides that you spray. You'll see here we have solenoid fault detection as outlined on the screen here. If you have a nozzle body that's having some issues, it will tell you on the screen. It will identify that there is a fault, and as you can see here, it's even telling us which solenoid the fault's coming from. We have LED lighting, which is useful in low light conditions, say starting early in the morning or spraying late into the evening when the light's not as well. It helps you see that your spray patterns are what you want them to be. And then also those LED lights will strobe. So if we have a fault in one of the nozzle bodies, that nozzle body will be strobing to make it a little bit easier to identify which one you have the issue with. We do have nozzle boost capabilities. We can boost up to 6 nozzles, and a good example of when we would use that would be maybe boosting those nozzles that follow the tire tracks behind the machine where we need a little bit extra coverage. And then lastly, touch on each ExactApply system comes with 2 key fobs. You can utilize these key fobs to exit the machine and go around behind and kick the boom on or off, or kick sections on or off to make sure that your tips look good, you don't have any plugs, your patterns look good, things of that nature. I'm going to show you a little video here, just a customer testimonial about their use of ExactApply. This particular customer runs 2 sprayers. One is an ExactApply machine and one is not, and so I think there's a good comparison there.
Two R4045 sprayers. One is not ExactApply, and one is. The one we got new this year was ExactApply. As I'm spraying through the field, the nozzle, I can watch one nozzle at a time, shutting off or turning on, and when I look at my map, there's virtually 0 overlap. It's just everything just comes out just right. And then I've been in the same field where, we might be trading spots on turn rows at the end of the field or whatever, and I watch his, and obviously his whole section has to paint into the headland, and you can see a significant amount more overlap. So when you see them run together, it's pretty interesting. Another thing is, if I'm supposed to get, for instance, so many acres in a field or so many acres in a tank, I had a lot more success with, that's exactly what I would get, we have a lot of fields with a lot of obstacles in them, like power poles and stuff like that. And when you find yourself having to, spray around those where the inside of the boom is barely moving and you're going around, and it's pretty, you'd either run short on acres because you're doubling up so much, and then obviously the damage of too much product being applied in the inner portion of the sprayer. Those environments where when it's explained, it's really hard to maybe grasp or justify, but when you're in the field running it and you can see the difference in how that performs, and then how often a function of ExactApply that you didn't previously have is being utilized in some way, it's really hard to grasp how often that technology is being used in a day-to-day operation of spraying. When you're watching some of the different monitoring controls on your screen, you can see that your turn compensation is almost constantly working. I mean, not when you're going straight through the field, but how many times a day you're seeing that work it's almost all the time, so things like that are very reassuring, and really made me a big believer in that technology.
Okay, now I'm going to cover the Apply Plus app that's available in the App Store from John Deere. When you open up the Apply Plus app, you're going to see the landing page here. And first is service. I'm going to touch on these on a really high level. I would highly suggest getting the app and just poking buttons. That's the best way to become familiar with it. Looking at service, it does go in, you open that up, and then you've got maintenance reminders for daily, 10, 50, 100, 250 hours, so on and so forth. You get all those reminders from greasing to oil changes, all types of surface intervals that are normally found in your operator's manual, but we don't always take the time to look in the operator's manual. Machine setup, it gives you step-by-step button pushes to navigate the display for machine setup. Applying, same way, takes you through setting up your application system, and again, it's step-by-step button pushes. You can follow along on the display with the page turns in your app. And then also safety. Pretty much, again, I referenced the operator's manual, a bunch of safety information that was normally included in your operator's manual, but we don't tend to have that out as often as we should. And then next, I'd like to draw your attention to the Tools button at the bottom of the Apply Plus app. And what that'll do is it'll bring up another page that will show us three different calculators or tools that we have available for us. First, we're going to talk about the nozzle select. This is a really, really good tool, especially if you're new to spraying or new to ExactApply. You can select the nozzle select tool, and as you can see here, it brings up the specific parameters that we need to identify or apply information for, so we know which tips we need to use. As you can see here, we put in our tip spacing width, our max speed that we plan to run, our application rate in gallons per acre, what our solution density is, so whatever our carrier is going to be, in this case it's water, and then what PWM mode that we want to run or plan to run. And so we've selected A or B in this example. And then you can tell it what droplet size, fine, coarse, medium, whatever you would like to see. That information can be given to you from your chemical agent or the label from your chemical. Once we put that information in and click Find My Product, it will bring us a list of tips that are available that fit those parameters. And you can see some basic information about each tip, but through this app you can actually select a tip and it'll bring up another screen that will give us specific information on the tip that we chose, such as, you know, what the operating pressure is, what ExactApply capability or compatibilities they have, and then also at different pressures, it's going to show us what type of droplet size we're going to see. Next, we're going to go into the tank mix calculator, and that works similarly. You select the calculator, and you have to put in the information that pertains to what you're going to do. So how many acres you plan to spray, what your primary product rate is going to be, and if you have a second product, and then what your tank volume is, and then also what your rate is going to be per acre. And then we click this button, and over here it'll tell us the product needed per tank mix. So you can see up here, it's going to tell us that we're going to need a full load and a partial load, and then how many total materials we're going to need for product and carrier. And then down here, it's just kind of a review talking about what we're going to need per load, And then the next page is going to be the area covered per tank. So it's going to tell us how much we can expect, how much ground we can expect to cover per load. And then very much like the tank mix calculator, we do have a direct injection calculator. Again, we just put in our information of what we want to accomplish. And as you can see in this example, at a 90-foot boom, going 13 miles an hour and trying to put 28 ounces per acre on with a low volume pump, we've actually exceeded the capabilities of that pump. So we would have to consider lowering our rate or our speed, or perhaps if we have a high volume pump, switching to the high volume pump. So just a good tool to kind of do a preview of what we plan to do and see if we're even able to do it. Next, I'm going to talk about the Connect Mobile app and the Connect Mobile technology that John Deere has. Some of you may be familiar with that from planting or harvesting. Well, when it first came out, it utilized a wireless data server. And so what that does is it creates a localized, secured Wi-Fi network that is specific to the machine or the implement. And what it does is it securely transfers our agronomic and our machine performance data to an iPad for viewing and for sending on to the operation center. We also can use that in reverse. So if we have an iPad with a cellular data, we can actually use the iPad to get software updates and push it back to the wireless data server. This particular solution was factory installed on model year 2017 sprayers. From the wireless data server technology, we have moved to the Connect Mobile Server app. And so that started factory installed on 2018 model year sprayers and newer. And what it does is it utilizes the 4600 command center display with the Connect Mobile Server app, and that's how it does the communication. We have no need for the wireless data server in this system. The Connect Mobile Server app actually uses the wireless connection from the 4G MTG on the machine to connect to the iPad. One caveat here is though, we must have the premium activation or subscription for Connect Mobile to work. Connect Mobile server is not compatible with the following displays. As you can see, the 4200 Command Center, the 4240 Universal Display, and also the 4640 Universal Display. If you have a pre-2017 R-Series sprayer, there are retrofit kits available. As you can see here, you'll get the hardware for mounting the WDS, and you can utilize it to work with your 2630 display, but keep in mind you will have to purchase the wireless data server separately. Just some iPad features for this system. An iPad Air 2 or an iPad Pro in both the 9.7 and 12.9 inch screens are compatible. You will need iOS system 9.3 version or higher. Cellular capabilities and 32 gig of storage are highly recommended. And the cellular plan is recommended, like I mentioned before. If we have that, we can stream the data to the Operations Center directly from the iPad. We can provide this background aerial imagery map while we're utilizing the system. And then, like I mentioned before too, we can grab those software updates and push them back through into the hardware on the machine. And just a little note here, a typical planting, spraying, and harvesting season where you're using a Connect Mobile app or solution on each will use about 4 gig of data, but that also depends on the size of the machine and how many acres, how fast we go, things of that nature. And then down at the bottom, want to draw your attention, they do recommend that you keep that iPad plugged in throughout the day just to maintain that battery. Here are some examples of spray data maps that are available. We'll start at the top left here. We'll see that we have a pressure map available as we move through the field. We can look at our ground speed as we're traveling through the field. And we can also look at actual rate and then also rate deviation. And rate deviation is just where we are at with our actual applied as in comparison to the desired rate. Field review is a nice tool that we can utilize with this system. What it is we can take that iPad, whether it's in the machine or whether we're scouting a field, if we have a cellular data plan, as you can see here, it will show us our location in the field, and we can load a background map from any other as-applied map that we have in the system, and we can bring that up as an as-applied map, and it will show us our location in the field. So that would be good for maybe looking at weed pressure where chemical didn't work, or maybe we had chemical damage, or if we did some plots, we can see we have 2 different varieties here because we've got a variety map loaded in the back. We can just identify different trials or issues that we may see. Some additional features that Connect Mobile has, as you can see here, we have the ability to put our spray tip information into the system. And if we do that, it's going to give us a droplet size indicator. So if we take the time to put our tip information in, based on boom pressure, it will actually give us a gauge on what our droplet size is doing. So it knows what the tip is, what it's capable of, and then based on our boom pressure, it will tell us what our droplet size is, whether we're moving from coarse to medium or fine, whatever it actually is. And then just a few other things, we can look at target rate, we can look at our flow rate, we can look at tank volume, we can look at our productivity, as well as fuel consumption, and other parameters that we can utilize to make decisions moving forward or just see how our performance was. Lastly, I just want to talk about Horizon Equipment support hotlines. We've got 2. Some of you may be familiar that we've had the Precision Ag support line for the last year, and new for this year, we're adding the application support hotline. So if you guys have any issues in the field while you're applying or while you're getting ready, feel free to utilize either the Precision Ag support hotline for all of your integrated solutions needs, or if it's specific to spraying or anhydrous application, things of that nature, feel free to give us a call on the application support hotline. That will be the quickest way to get in touch with one of the team members and get you all fixed up. And with that, I thank you for your time, and Horizon Equipment appreciates your business.